Well, good morning. I'm very happy that you are here, and I want to wish each one of you a happy new year. And a very prosperous new year. Things are looking good, as I've said. I'm Tommie Wilson, and I'm the community liaison here at Metro. Moving, as I told you just before Christmas, that moving into a new direction of working in public affairs, which means that that's going to be inclusive of working with you, letting you know what we have to offer here at Metro and how Metro can fit into the total picture. Dean, would you like to say something about the task force, since you're on that, you sit on that board, what we're looking at, and
Really,
when is our next meeting? That's
the last meeting, basically, the only function that we did was to increase the size of the group. There is this reentry group, there's a reentry aspect with the empowerment, but the Douglas County has a task force. And Tommie sits representing Randy, I sit representing Lee, and it's looking at the reentry and facilitating one-stop shop kind of stuff. And they're also then looking at getting the federal second chance grant. They've already received the pre-grant, and so this year they'll be looking at putting in the paperwork to get the second chance grant, which is the returning citizen aspect.
Since what everybody is saying that, and what Bill was saying is that Metro is already a reentry school. We do not discriminate. And so we're looking to see what you're doing with your programs out in the community that's going to be effective yet.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I want to start as I am one of those returning citizens. I was in prison not one, but 4 times. I couldn't get it right. So finally, I figured it out. And it's people like you that come to these meetings and that stand beside us individuals and help us get through the ups and downs of transitioning back into the community. Because you run into those obstacles of not having job skills, because I'm an ex-felon, I can't get employed, because whatever it may be. You know, employers, I think, sometimes just make things up. For a long time, I worked with Tila alongside her in her ministry. And one day, God said, you're going to not do this anymore, and we're going to do our own ministry, and it's going to involve animals. My husband and I both come from abusive homes, and we were raised on farms where animals helped us get through the pain that we needed to get through every day. And so we knew that through our love that Jesus shines through us, we were able to help those that have that same pain, and to understand that it's not them that caused these situations to happen to them. And what we do is really simple. It's very simple. I have animals, everything from a chicken to a camel. And those animals are what makes the difference in these people's lives, from infants to the elderly. This last year, I have been through the trenches of things that have happened to me as the devil was throwing darts my way. People were telling me I did things, I broke laws, I broke things and had charges and stuff. And you know what? God, through all of that, allowed me to persevere and know that the truth would come out in the end. And it did. It was all gone. It was all dismissed. But that's the way that we have to trust him. And so when I started 2012, I was like, okay, Lord, I don't know where you're taking this and what you're doing with this. But we had stepped out in faith. We started our ministry in 2006, and all I did was the animal-assisted therapy. I would go, I was very not undercover, but not very many people knew about me because I spent my time in hospitals with individuals. Kids doing therapy because that's what makes them feel better. That's all we do. So however I can serve you in the community, we can do that. I'm scared for 2013 because I have no idea what he's going to do, but it started off remarkably well. So this is kind of bits and pieces of what we do in a big nutshell. I come to you or you come to the ranch. The only thing we ask at the ranch is if you may just call me and make sure that somebody's going to be there, because I never know where we may be. Volunteers. We take volunteers, any volunteers, families. We love it when families come out. little, big, however, because we want to keep families together. And we know that it definitely makes a difference, having them come out and do things together. And Metro will be at our location on Monday doing community service as well.
Joy, let's give them. Appreciate it. This is what we want you to do. We want to come and share things that you're doing with your groups. We want you to bring your clients. We are down to 11:10. I want to work at this forum that we have. You're here to find out how we can improve the reentry system. Everybody has a reentry program. Everybody is doing something, but we've got to work at improving it. What do we need to do? And that's what I want this to be.
You know, Brenda Council did a good job getting started. I talked to Brad about it a little bit more too. For everybody in this room, this, that, and whatever, you know, until there's some legislation, Dean, you're into politics, you need to get on this. Legislation, I know this is state and your federal government, but until the day they can change the legislation laws, that they no longer have to check the box, number one. Number two, there should be some type of expungement after 10, I know personally, there 10, 15 years, there needs to be some type of expungement. Expungement is a federal crime.
Okay.
You have to have a minor state. You have to have a federal crime to be, no, I got a full pardon, but it'll always be on my record. It's still
See,
there.
that's what we're looking at, that part.
Yeah, until they can get those laws, so please do everything you can to get a hold of your legislators and this, that, and whatever, because that'll make a huge difference in all your efforts today.
We have in our favor, he's Mello, you know, is a part of us, and he's there in the legislature, you know. And then, he's part of Metro's team, but we need lobbyists, somebody to lobby for that.
And Heath here, that'd be great.
You know, have had some words, but that's
No,
okay.
that's okay.
It goes like that. And then our main honcho, who sat in the legislature for 30-some years, is sitting right here on our table, Lauren Cruz. He knows who to make that contact
right.
with. Lauren can tell us who to
Get
talk
old
to.
Uncle Ernie. Ernie's been kind of quiet so far.
Yes.
And plus, he writes a beautiful book and a beautiful message on politics and the legislature. So get to know Lauren. He can direct us with the right people. We got to find out how we can benefit our ex-offenders. And what can Table Talk do to help our returning citizens in the future? That's basically what I want to know. What you can contribute, and give me people that we should bring here to the table so that we can have a meaningful discussion, and I won't sit here just jabbing all the time. I don't know, I probably will, because I interrupt the preacher on Sundays. Sheila?
It's important that you get off the reentry piece and make it broader, because we who are working reentry are working reentry. We're connecting, we encourage the people that are doing reentry and understanding that. Joy and I go back like 25 years. It takes time for a person to find their niche, and we need not to be discouraged, but at the same time, everybody plays a different part. What I do well. But I don't do chemical dependency counseling. But I know who does it well. And so I utilize those services because I know that they're available. However, our returning population affects other components of society, like homeless, domestic violence, drug and alcohol abuse, different areas, I think when you have a tag like reentry, and all the players that do reentry know reentry, they're going to say, well, you know, they quote any terms that I don't know. But if we broaden it, put an emphasis on grief with children, put an emphasis on unplanned pregnancies, you know, teen moms, different components in the community. Because those children who are not doing well in school, those kids who are being enticed by it, gangs, just why we're having a gang prevention program at the Wesley House. But those individuals, if those areas have to be addressed too, so that they don't become the part of the population that need reentry service. We need to meet at least once a month, and highlight a different organization because they all have to do with education. They all have to do with employment. They all have to do with, you know, let's not go to prison because once you get them in, it's really hard to get them out and go through all of this. Let's not, you know, let's look at the big picture.
We're gonna look into all of that because we really want to redirect this focus and get on the ball and get the groups here that needs to, yes, ma'am.
At the present time, I know that the Omaha Public Schools has put together a forum for people who want to talk about alternative education. And I wasn't able to be on the committee at this time, but I would tell any of you who would like to be to call Matt Red. He's at OPS, he's in community, student community services. Basically what I'm seeing, or what I saw when I was at Parrish and Blackburn, is that the students I had, because yes, they didn't do what they were supposed to do, but when they came to us, they were already fairly angry. And some of the things, especially when I worked with the expelled student program, that I found out was that a lot of times to get the parent and the kid out of the school, they would tell them that you're only suspended. But when they got the letter, they would say they were expelled. And so the kids had a lot of anger. And what I'm asking, what I would like to see, is that we do more with the alternative schools to work with them. All right. When I worked in alternative schools, we had some problems because a lot of the people said they didn't like the kids, and I was like, it's not about liking them or not liking them. It was about educating them. And I kept telling people I didn't have any, I have no hours in criminal justice. I have no hours in anything like that. I was strictly an educator, but the behaviors that the kids came with, we had to work on those behaviors, and it was very difficult for the students. Because, and the big thing I taught the kids was this, is that when you come, you don't have to be an adult. I'll be the adult for you. And so that calmed a lot of things down when they knew they didn't have to be an adult. And so every day, we had a lot of consistency at Parrish. The kids knew exactly what was gonna go on. And I would encourage this group to be as much on OPS. And also, we also need to talk to OPS about expanding their alternative programs, and that alternative does not always mean your behavior. If there's anything that you can tell me or want to ask me about Parrish or Blackburn at that time, because I retired in 2009, but I really enjoyed working with the kids, but they need all of you, because the students, I don't want them, like we said, we don't want to be the pipeline to the prison. We just don't want to be the pipeline to the prison, you know.
See, it's gonna start from here, and we need to get to but what we can bring to the OPS is recommendations and findings that we are finding. And with you guys here from probation, from corrections, we can help you get that thing off. And Tila is working in the correction. She's actually teaching those kids, and those are some programs that she can bring. So from our recommendation, what are some of the barriers that you see working with the work release program? Because all of my calls are coming from work release people who are having problems with being respected or disrespected on the job, not getting back to the place on time, you know. I get those kind of calls, and then they're threatening to put them back into prison, you know. Have you pointed out all your barriers?
Ours, I did write them down, but primarily, and they still continue to be the same. They're housing, employment, support, and then an understanding and acceptance. And we start with first the individual aspects of where they're at and what they're going through, and then how they're presenting themselves. But those are the same ones that continue to be and very frustrating to deal with.
Do you think that we could have something like a study of the alternative schools with the kids, having kids who have been there, who had been there since like 2000 or something like that, and the teachers and the administrators, and really have something where we have, you know, where we can say, this is what the people who work for you say. This is what the parents say. This is what the students say who attended these schools.
Tommie, yeah, you asked me did I have a question.
Yeah.
It's more of a statement, and I've talked to Tila about this before. Go to a lot of meetings talking about reentries, but what I don't hear is the focus on female offenders. A lot of emphasis is put on fathers, on males, but because the population I deal with is mostly females, they're habitual offenders. Now, granted, minor shoplifting becomes major felonies, but these are the mothers of these children out here, and people think because you have a child, you become a parent. You become a parent by word, but not by action. And I think there really needs to be a focal point on how are we going to help these young ladies become women and nurture and bring up good citizens. And we have Paul here, Fathers for a Lifetime. Do we have anybody here from Mothers for a Lifetime? Okay, that's an ongoing problem, and I don't see the emphasis on the females out here in the community.
We have not brought those mothers to the table. And when they do come, they're crying. I got a son that's here. What can we do? You know, they're crying about their son being out there. I'm a grandma who sits here and who's crying about my grandson being up in that deal. But we don't address those women who are ex-offenders, you know. So maybe that's something that we can get going on it. Teal is about the only one who actually goes to York to the program. I have not heard anybody else that said that they've been there.
Kathleen McAllister works with women. There are several. I think the thing with the women is that they're busy working with, you know, their families and things like that. The women that I bring here are productive in the community already. There's a journey that they're engaged in, and hopefully, with our new location, I'm going to be hiring at least 4 of my ladies that complete the program. They're going to run and take over Compassion in Action. They'll be strategically positioned to reach out specifically to women. I also will have men that will specifically do men, and then 2 other ladies that specifically do girls, and then the Raw Dog program is going to specifically address boys, because it is a family affair.
We've got to get those names and get them here at the table, whether we can start addressing women. But you know, we are the soul of it, and if any change is going to take place, it's going to come from us women, because that's what the perception is, that nobody is doing anything. We are doing something.
Oh, yeah.
We are doing things here. We are talking about it, and the prisoners don't understand that we're out here discussing their issues. Where can we change? And that's what we want to do.
Like about a week ago, I was searching for grants, because most of the stuff I do, I use my own money. And so like about a week and a half ago, I found this, I guess it's a Brian grant. You know, it's a huge grant. It's almost like a $2 million grant.
Okay.
And it asks for a lot of cross collaboration. So I made it a point to come here and talk to the ladies from AmeriCorps about, is it possible that it can be done? You know, that's the whole thing. I mean, it's pretty big. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but that's one of the dreams I have, you know, that people will come together, because that's what the federal government is asking for now, and try to get something like this. I tried with NCAP with the Second Chance Act, whatever it was, and that didn't happen. That's the first time I'd ever tried something like that.
Contact Fathers for a Lifetime, Judith Hill and Paul Barnett, because see, they're working with young men, not necessarily ex-offenders, but you know, that's a good a quality group that you can work with.
See, you already have a major edge. Did you and Brenda ever get your 501c3?
We got one, yeah.
Okay, good. You already have a major edge, and that's housing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything that you do qualifies you big time. So I would suggest that you connect with individuals who do like things that you do.
Right.
Because that housing is major.
Yeah.
It's just major. With the right funding, you could multiply what you're already doing, because you would have more staff, more locations.
Right.
Connect with the person who does housing. I would suggest a couple people for you who have property, who would be willing to work with you. And like property, transportation, we do pre-release, education, all the way you want to connect your dots. Those are the people you want to talk to for that collaboration, so they can see that you do this part and you work with this person, they do that part, they do this. But your part is major, Frank. That housing and that getting people, that is so major, and that is so lacking. And I know you guys were trying to do something for women at one time too. So you might want to kick that in there. Yeah, you might want to kick that in there.
And housing is a big issue, so you ought to be able to find somebody that can work with you in that area and help you get things done. I got to introduce you to Chevis. I saw you slip in here.
Chevis Johnson, City Gang Specialist. I do a lot of different stuff working with gang members and offenders, ex-offenders, helping re-entry, get jobs, mentoring, a lot of different things. I'm a partner with the police department in the gang unit, so I have a lot of law enforcement assistance as well as able to work with people one-on-one in the community. I'm not a police officer myself, I'm a civilian, so I don't go out arresting anybody or anything like that, but it kind of gives me that leeway, so if I need to look up any information that I need to, I can find out any information about anybody I need to, as well as help them get the assistance in the community. I've been doing a lot of prison ministry for about the last 8 years, so I'm very familiar with the prison system, NCYF, NSP, and Tecumseh specifically, and then as well as I just finished my training for Douglas County, and so I'll be doing some mentoring programs with them and helping some of their people reacclimate to society. Jobs are always a hot topic for people re-entering society, but even more importantly is that they need to have the skills to actually go and interview, and then once they get a job, actually keeping the job.
Sometimes it's not that they're not ready. We have to teach them to be ready. They don't know how to even prepare for being ready. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So maybe if we have somebody just to mentor them and counsel them, then they're ready. Just like Pat says that teachers are scared of the student. They are afraid of the students. They are afraid of the stereotypical things that they've heard about the students. And we're scared of anything, or we don't like anything that we don't know until we get to know them. So this is the mindset that we have to change this to. It's not that they are not ready, or they don't want to they haven't been taught. They've never seen that. So their lifestyle has just been zero, and they've seen nothing positive in it. That's why they hit the game. That's why they hit the street, because they're looking for that thing that ain't at home. Oh, don't forget, go to our website, www.mccneb.edu. You can pull up the current resource book where we have all the resources, and if you're not in this, let us know so that we can put you into this